Welcome to the first basketball edition of the Southern California Prep Insider Podcast. Tom Morris, Devin, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, Devin Ugland with Prep Hoops SoCal and my scouting service, hoopsbyugland.com.
And Devin, how many teams do you see you cover over the course of a season? 500? Seriously?
I mean, if you're talking summer to fall league and then into regular high school season, I'd say I cover thousands of games. Thousands. Easily.
Yes, he is the man as far as high school basketball and Southern section is concerned. So we will start with your first top 10 that we are introducing here on our podcast.
So number one, I think this is a choice that most everyone's going to make who's doing rankings in Southern California, in the Southern section especially, is Bishop Montgomery. Number two, Mater Dei. 3 is Rancho Christian. They're an upstart team that I'm kind of excited about moving forward. 4 is Sierra Canyon. 5, Damien from Laverne. And then 6 is Santa Margarita. 7, Etiwanda. 8, Oak Park. 9, Corona Centennial. And 10, Chino Hills.
And of those teams on your list, who has been the most surprising team to you so far early in the season? Team maybe you didn't see coming?
Yeah, Etiwanda has definitely been the most surprising team to me. We weren't sure if Dave Kleckner, the longtime coach there, legendary guy, was going to come back, and he's back. So what they do is they just lock down defensively, and when you lock down defensively at the high school level, you can beat anybody. And their only loss this year is the Rancho Christian in the championship of the Battle Zone tournament out at Corona Centennial a few weeks back. But Kessler Edwards is their guy. He's committed to Pepperdine, and he's really turning the corner from a guy who's an upside guy who looks the part to a guy who really produces game in and game out.
And Bishop Montgomery, your number one team, they have a couple of studs at the guard positions out there.
Yeah, and you know what? They're number one right now, and they don't even have their best guard, which is Gianni Hunt. He's out with a foot injury. So when he gets back, that's going to make them even more scary. But yeah, David Singleton, he's a 6'5", physical freak athlete, committed to UCLA, high-scoring guy. He scores it from all 3 levels. And then Josh Vasquez, he's a junior, very, very talented point guard, starting to really get his jump shot and his legs underneath him. And that's been the key for him because he's been a high IQ guy for the last few years. Really good passer, good defender, and they're just solid all the way around. Like, Singleton's a superstar, but the thing is, they just have solid pieces in every position, and they're deep too. So with Doug Mitchell coaching that team, he's one of the best coaches around. They're gonna, be at the top 3, top 2 for the rest of the season.
All right, so there's the top 10 right there. We're gonna do this every podcast. We're gonna do the top 10, go into guys who were good last week, and then we're going to do some game picks. So next section, who had some standout games for you last week? So
I was at Corona Del Mar a couple days last week for the Beach Bash tournament, and a junior from Santa Margarita, Jake Kyman, he stood out the most there. He earned the MVP award as Santa Margarita won the title game when we're losing her. Jake averaged 17.8 points and 6.3 rebounds over those 4 games. And, he's a 6'7" wing, really shoots it. So he was very good down there in Corona Del Mar. And then a guy who's really coming along and starting to turn the corner as well is Alpha Okoli at St. John Bosco. Alpha scored 25 points in a championship win over Crespi at the Cerritos Gar tournament. And the biggest question with him has always been his jump shot. And he was knocking in threes at an impressive clip at that tournament. So he was very good. A guy you're going to start hearing a lot more about is Robert McRae at Fairfax. Steve Bake told me that, he just does a little bit of everything. And I love McRae's game. He won the Beverly Hills tournament MVP. He had 10 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists against Long Beach Poly in the championship game. And as you can see, 10, 9, and 5. It's not gaudy numbers, but he's a guy who just gets it done. Lockdown defender. He can guard multiple positions. Love his game.
And before we move on from that, quick question. I've never had the privilege of going to the swim gym. Can you enlighten us on what it's like in there?
It is one of the most interesting venues I've ever seen for a high school gym. You walk in and then you go down into the stands, but then, the floor retracts and you just have this wafting smell of chlorine in the gym. So, I'm not sure how the kids play in that gym, but I guess at some point you get used to it, right? So,
home advantage.
Yeah, exactly. It seemed to not bother McRae or Fairfax at all. they took that tournament over Poly, and Poly's a solid team too. I would have probably, if I had another guy, I would have included Daryl Polk in this from Poly, the 5'6" point guard there. He's quick and shifty. I love his game. He's tough. So the next guy on my list is Lamont Butler from Riverside Poly. Head out to the IE, give them some more love. He was the MVP of the Kiwanis tournament, and they host that tournament. Poly does. He had a career high 33 points and had 11 rebounds in that game. And he's a frail, long, rangy 6-foot point guard. So 11 rebounds is pretty impressive for a guy of his size. But 33 points, 11 rebounds, and they beat Riverside Notre Dame in that championship game, who's a very solid team. And then I'm gonna keep it in the IE, but take it a little further out to Arizona, where Onyeka Okongwu had 33 points. 13 rebounds and 5 blocks as they lost to Shadow Mountain, one of the better teams in Arizona at Hoop Hall West last weekend. But Big O's just had a massive season so far. A lot of the questions coming in this year were, Mellow Ball, who's going to be in Lithuania, I guess.
That's way out east. That's other continent empire.
That's a different continent, I think. Right? I don't travel much, but I think it's a different continent. A lot of the question was, are they going to run the offense through Big O now that Melo's not there and none of the balls are there except Andre, the cousin. And they are, they don't really do much to, get him open or, screens or anything like that to get him open on the block. But I mean, they gave him the high post and he just goes to work. Really talented kid.
And I haven't seen them play this year. Are they doing a similar thing to last year where they have a player release, early on the fast break? Are they trying to keep doing that up-tempo pace, or are they slow it down now without the Ball brothers?
It's more traditional, but it's still pretty free-flowing and free to take a shot when it's there. They have solid guards, solid wings with Andre Ball, super athletic. He's coming off a couple injuries, and he's looking good so far this season. Ofure Ujadagele, I'm sorry, Big O, if I said that wrong, but he's an athletic guy, good defender. And then Faquan Davis, another guy who's a solid defender and can make shots. It's still fast paced, like I said, but it's not come across half court, jack a shot. It's not one guy release on defense and kind of cherry pick. It's not like that. They defend traditionally, and it's more traditional style of basketball.
All right, so those are the top performers from last week. We're going to get into our game picks. I'll even participate in this. Give myself a little. We'll keep track of these throughout the year. So when you're beating me by 50 games at the end of the season, I'll try not to feel too bad for myself. First game we're going to pick. It's later in this week. It's St. Anthony going to Serra. Devin, what do you think?
I'm going to take St. Anthony here. They just won the Valley Christian tournament, and Frank Stain, who's a junior forward, was the MVP of that tournament. I like the way they play. Coach Cavanis over there has them just locking in defensively and playing hard every possession. I like the combination of Marquise Nellums, Frank Stain, and Josh Belvin. I'm
going to agree with you. They have 3 common opponents already, which is rare this early in the season. They've both played Birmingham, Mayfair, and Linwood. St. Anthony swept them. Serra, not so much. They're 1-2 against those opponents. I'm going to take St. Anthony. Next game, Capistrano Valley at Servite. I'm going to take Capo Valley here. They had a really, really bad loss at the Godinez tournament a few weeks back to Newport Harbor. Last second shot. It was a 51-50 final. I had them ranked number 3 in Orange County to start the season. After that, dropped them to 10. So I think they're still one of the top Orange County teams. Dawson Baker's one of the better guards down in this area that maybe some people haven't heard about. Very talented scorer. I'm going to go with Capo. I'm going to be boring and agree with you. Both teams are 4-1, as you kind of mentioned. Capo Valley returning 4 starters from that thrilling Division II state championship team. That 41-31 nail biter. Yeah. That everyone was looking forward to. Sarcasm there for sure. A tiny bit. Next game, Centennial at Harvard Westlake. This is a good one. If this was at some other location that wasn't Studio City, I probably would go to it on a Friday night. But LA traffic will keep me away from that one. I'm going to go Centennial strictly because they play so hard. They're deep. They have tons of good guard play. And Jalen Clark, the sophomore wing there, is just an absolute freak. And, Harvard Westlake has a good sophomore of their own in Johnny Juzang, one of the better scorers around. This is going to be – I think it's going to be tight, though, because Harvard Westlake has a big center 6'9" guy, Mason Hooks, who's real tough in the interior.
and Centennial's pretty small this year.
I'm going to disagree. I'm actually going to go with Harvard Westlake in this one.
Like
this is a game that in 2 years will be like one of the best games of the country because it's headlined by sophomores pretty much. You mentioned Jalen Clark, DJ Davis for Centennial. They're both averaging 25 points a game so far. Johnny, you mentioned he's got 23.6 per game, and Mason Hooks, 10.9 rebounds so far early in the season. I like Harvard Westlake just because it's at home and the young kids. Harvard Westlake has also played a lot more games, so I think with the younger kids that helps. I think Harvard Westlake's in 9-1 or something like that. They've played, I think, 5 more games than Centennial has. So I'm going to go with Westlake. Last game we're going to pick, Trabuco Hills, Mission Viejo.
Trabuco, this is a South County slobber knocker right here. But Trabuco Hills is one of the most surprising teams down this way. Chase Anderson's probably one of the most underrated 2018 shooting guards in his class. He's a 6'3" wiry guy, really shoots it to 3. And they have depth too, and that's the key. Mission Viejo's super young. They have a talented freshman point guard, Langston Redfield. Max Redfield's younger brother, who went on to Notre Dame, was a big-time football guy. But Sean Solons has his guys playing real well. They lost to Santa Margarita at Corona Del Mar tournament by 2. And as you know, Santa Margarita is number 6 on my top 10. So if there's such thing as a good loss, that's one of them. So I'm going to go with Trabuco here, and I think Chase Anderson's going to have a big night.
I'm going to agree with you. We're going to agree on 3 of these, only disagree on 1. I promise we'll disagree on more later in the season. It's just kind of hard to find games that are 50-50 games early in the season. They played already in the Diablo Inferno tournament. Hills won that one. I got to see both of them play in that tournament. Mission Viejo's just not quite there yet. Trabuco Hills is a little bit further along, I think, than Diablos are. So, Devin, anything you want to add before we get out of here?
No, man. Just appreciate you having me on, and I'm looking forward to people kind of watching this deal here and having fun with it.
Yep, we'll be on here every week. We'll have our Twitter names at the bottom, so you can yell at us on the internet. It's okay. We're big boys. We can handle it. So, if you have any picks you don't agree with, make sure to let us know. If you agree with us, which rarely happens, let us know with that as well. Until then, we'll see you next week.